Coffee is one of the world's most valuable agricultural commodities, and at least 25 million people around the world base their livelihoods on the production of it. Since the coffee crisis, women have had to step in the gaps of coffee production to support their families, and in so doing have been empowered. The global north and south concept refers to the gap between the global north and global south in terms of development and wealth. The low to middle income countries located in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean contrast to the high income nations of the global north, like the United States, Europe, and Canada. The coffee belt is the countries in brown where coffee is grown and harvested. Coffee is grown on the plains and mountainsides between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Most coffee producers are small-scale farmers in the developing world, or global south, although the bulk of coffee consumption takes place in the global north, the United States and Europe. 2 billion cups of coffee are consumed around the world every day. 2001, coffee prices hit a 30-year low. With a disintegration of the International Coffee Agreement in 1989, and the combination of corporate control of international production and trade and chronic oversupply of coffee commodity prices crashed, creating a humanitarian crisis, damaging rural economies for more than 25 million coffee farmers around the world. The amount of money paid for a cup of coffee in the global north is $3 to $5, and this is 1/3 of the amount of money these coffee harvesters will make in wages for the day in global south. Average wage is $6 to $8 a day. Many harvesters live in poverty without plumbing, electricity, medical care, or nutritious foods. Most indigenous families where coffee is produced are part of a patriarchal society. Men were the ones running the coffee farms and in charge of the financial aspects as well as the land ownership. When the crisis hit, many of the small farms were unable to pay their creditors, and the men had to migrate to find regular work with higher wages in order to support their families and or pay the loans for their lands. Oppression has been central to the historical development of the coffee industry. Women farmers and workers throughout the global south still confront lower pay, gender discrimination, less stable employment, widespread sexual harassment in the workplace, and double burdens of wage labor and household responsibilities. Labor on coffee, sugar, and cotton plantations is often not waged, but instead paid by the amount harvested, so entire families will work together for one payment. Urban agriculture can be alienating for women as they strive to secure food for their families. Female-headed households are the poorest of households. While tending to household chores and raising their children, many women have had to step into the agriculture business. Women involved in agriculture form social networks, develop friendships, and feel a psychological and therapeutic benefit from cultivation and hard work. The social capital is one of the most important contributions towards sustainable livelihoods for women. The National Coffee Agreement was not signed after 1989, and instead only a few powerful multinational corporations control the market by buying most of the world's coffee as a commodity, striving for profit over sustainability. These companies have driven coffee prices down at the expense of habitat, biodiversity, and the farmers. To help with coffee crisis, non-governmental organizations, specialty coffee companies, and selected producer organizations began efforts to expand certified sustainable coffee markets. NGOs have provided education and training to women. They have taught women about coffee harvesting and about the financial aspects they were not privy to before. They have also worked with women on land ownership and gaining access to education for their children. Women in the coffee-growing countries are primarily responsible for food security for their families. Often women will join with other women to form a cooperative and then pursue the goals they are looking to achieve. Fair trade attempts to help small farmers by paying farmers a fair price that covers costs and is stable, providing access to credit, and by offering farmers and their organizations or cooperatives varying levels of support services. Since the entry into the fair trade market, studies found that many small farmers' income has doubled. Growing certified coffee trade promotes fair trade, sustainable community development, protecting the environment, gender equity, and helping farmers to get credit, receive training, and increasing assets. The fair trade movement is an effort to link socially and environmentally conscious consumers in the global north with producers engaged in socially progressive and environmentally sound farming in the global south. Coffee is grown under the canopy of trees in shaded forests and high on the mountainsides. Coffee grows best in temperatures around 70 degrees with generous rainfall. The canopy of trees is an excellent habitat for migratory birds, indigenous animals, and insects, and this also prevents topsoil erosion and removes the need for chemical fertilizers. Erosion, acidification, deforestation, and water pollution are serious consequences of growing coffee on sun plantations. Coffee plants in sun plantations grow faster, age more quickly than those grown in shade, and therefore must be replaced more often. In the 90s, farmers were encouraged to replace their shade-grown practices with sun cultivation because it produces a higher yield of coffee, increasing the farmer's income. When sun plantations are more exposed to the elements, this leads to erosion of topsoil and the leaching of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides into local watersheds. On shade plantations, dead leaves from trees taller than coffee plants provide nutrients to the coffee. On sun plantation, these nutrients are not available, so fertilizers must be used, especially nitrogen. Prune back to allow for the tree to grow more coffee cherries. Shade-grown coffee trees will produce cherries for 30 years. Sun-grown coffee trees age faster and will only produce cherries for 15 years. At the end of the life of a coffee plant, the land is usually cleared and new soil needs to be found to plant again. With climate change, temperatures have increased and rainfall has decreased, and rainy seasons have arrived later than expected, having an impact on coffee growing. Macro level, social workers can advocate for policy change to work together to promote sustainability in trading for the global North and South. Social workers can also advocate for basic human rights for everyone across the global South. In small ways, such as purchasing certified coffee, educating ourselves about the world, and voting in elections for officials who support equality and uphold the values and ethics we align ourselves with, we can also promote social change. In September, Starbucks began offering a new medium roast coffee blend dedicated to honoring and supporting women in the coffee industry. A portion of the proceeds goes to support women and girls in coffee-producing communities. 15 cents will be distributed equally between International Women's Coffee Alliance and Days for Girls, two important organizations that support empowering women and girls. At micro level, as social workers, we need to be culturally aware when working with all clients. We work with a diverse population of people, and where we may have biases or negative notions, we need to be self-aware and culturally aware. Social work's values and ethics demand that we advocate for those who are oppressed and advance human rights and social, economic, and environmental justice. According to Erickson, common human rights include the right to access clean water and air, healthy food, education, a responsive and capable medical system, safety from harm, and freedom to build and maintain family units of one's choosing. These rights and freedoms are for all people, regardless of geographic location, race, country of origin, gender, or educational status.